In the start of this manga, we can see the female lead saying that her college worker, Himuro, is a descendant of the snow women. And while she is saying that, there was a snow wind. And then she asks him that it's really cold in here. To which he says sorry to her, and says he got really into work mode. Afterwards she thinks to herself that he is a guy that loves flowers. But then the flowers never loved him back. Because he just made that flower to froze since he got excited to see it. And was pretty annoyed since everything around him is just getting frozen, and which she heard him. Afterwards at that same night she was searching for something in the internet. And at the next day, at the office she calls him, she gave him a huge straw, telling him to use it. But seeing that he was confused, and he asks her on what is this? To which she tells him to use it for the flowers, so they don't get frost that easily. And she says that she felt bad for him, since he can't touch the flowers, so she tried to find a solution. And hearing this he asks her if she carried it all the way to office. To which she says she took the first train in the morning, so she wasn't in anyone's way. And hearing that he smiles saying that she is really a nice person. But after seeing him smile she was shocked. After a while she was wondering why did her heart just skip a beat. And he was blushing and thinking that she is really sweet. And he is in love with her. And while he was walking home everything around him is just getting frozen. Because he is so happy. After a while she was thinking that her colleague is a descendant of a snow woman. And whenever he gets absorbed into something he sets of an blizzard. And she goes on by asking him on what he is watching so intensely, since he is making this whole place cold. To which he says he was watching a cat video, and he says that he loves cat but he can't pet them, since if he gets excited he makes the whole place cold. And he annoyingly says it will be nice to pet a real cat. And she was just watching him. Afterwards at the next day, she gave him something which was a cat whiskers. And then she says the whiskers was from her real cat. Since he can't pet the real cat she thought he will feel better if he at least has its whiskers. And she goes on by saying that the cat whiskers actually act as a lucky charm. And she tells him that it will be great if something good happens to him. And after giving that she was thinking that it was kind of embarrassing to give a charm to a guy. And after receiving that he was blushing so hard while thinking that she is really adorable. Afterwards while he was working, he was letting out in blizzard thinking that she was hoping for his happiness and because of that he has fallen for her more. At the next day she drinking coffee. And she realizes that he was sitting there with lots of ice around. And she asks him on why the break room is fully covered with ice. To her surprise he says that in Okinawa there is something special going on in the beach. And hearing that she realizes that their company is going to Okinawa as a retreat. And he says that his presence will bring a huge uproar to see, so he shouldn't go in there. Hearing that she was shocked. But he goes on by saying that it will be nice to get there. And then a week has gone by. And she gave him a homemade surf drum. And he shakes it. While she was saying it is also called has a ocean drum. And by putting stones and sands, it can recreate the sound of waves. And she says it also have ability to calm someone's mind, so he can practice and get used to the ocean sound, so he won't summon a blizzard when he comes to the ocean. And while blushing she says that she will be sad if he didn't attend the company's retreat. So he should attend it no matter what. And she leaves the place. But he was blushing really hard thinking that he can't take it anymore. Afterwards he was shaking it really hard but it doesn't seem like it's working. After a while she comes into an room. And she realizes that he was frozen into an ice. And she calls him and asks him on what happened since he got frozen solid. To which he says that he always gets frozen to solid if he gets nervous. And he goes on by saying that he is nervous because he got an important business to do. After hearing that she was silent. And then she asks him if he would relax if he gives massage. And then she tells him to remove his shoes, since all she knows is foot massage. And then he was shouting and saying that her massage is hurting him. To which she says that he got a stiff feet. And she asks him if he is now feeling relaxed. And says that everything will work well so he doesn't need to worry about anything. After hearing that he suddenly started to say that he know a good restaurant. And as for the thanks to the gifts she is giving him. And he goes on by inviting her to have a dinner with him. And he asks her to consider it. But she just says if it's okay for him, it's okay for her too. Afterwards he leaves the place saying that he will come find her when it's time to leave. And then while leaving he was thinking that he was trying to tell it to her for a week, but in the end he said it. But her heart was beating faster. While she was thinking that he just invited her to a date. After a while they came to eat the dinner together. And the other people in the table wondering why it's snowing only on him. Afterwards she says it's actually good food. To which he says yes. And while eating she was wondering that they are talking lesser than usual. And she goes on by thinking that he is playing it cool. That it's really hard for her to read him. But she is also like him. Afterwards she was starting to get sad thinking if he really enjoying being with her. And all of a sudden she got a call, and it was from her office, so she leaves the place. And she realizes that he is talking with the waiter. And the waiter asks him if he is on a lucky date. To which he says that it's actually one of his best day thanks to her. But to everyone's surprise she was standing behind the waiter. And while blushing he asks her on how long she has been standing there. And both of them were standing there silently, while blushing. Afterwards they were at the company retreat. And she asks him if he is doing alright. To which he says that he always doesn't do great with heat. But he is good because of the weather here is actually nice. And he says as long as he don't stand in the sun he won't melt. Hearing that she was shocked since he does melt. Afterwards he says thanks to her. Since she gave him that homemade surf drum. And he has been training with it every night. And because of that he is able to watch the beach happily. And then he asks her if it's her first time here. To which she says it's actually her second time. Since she once came here at the school trip. But they couldn't able to go anywhere, since there was a typhoon. And because of that she says that she was really looking forward to this trip. Afterwards she gave him a tour guide that she made by herself. After receiving it he was thinking that she was really looking forward to it just like him. And while looking at that, he was thinking that he should have fun with her. And all of a sudden he realizes that he is letting out in snow. And he put them away. And he started to think that he shouldn't waste their fun by summoning a blizzard. And he decides to settle down. Afterwards while eating he was thinking calm down. At the next day, he was looking at a shop. And he decides to get a cutest one. And before he could take it she was also trying to take it. And their hands touched. And both of them says that they can have it. Hearing that they were silent. Afterwards she decides to take it. Afterwards she says that they now have to pick something for him as well. But while she was searching for it, he was looking at her. And she takes a statue saying if it's adorable. But looking at that he was thinking that she is the one that's adorable. But this formed in huge blizzard. And he thinks to himself that he ruined others' trip. And everyone is wondering that it's snowing. And they thinks that it doesn't snow at a time like this. And she looks at the snow. And she was shocked. And then she tells him good job while blushing. After a while working, he suddenly says it getting chill here. In a different accent. Hearing that she asks him if it's Kansai accent, while thinking it's chilly whenever he's around. But then he says his tongue slipped. Afterwards they realizes that it's fall. Afterwards she looks at a tree, which had a flower. And then she opens the window saying that they can now smell the flowers if she does this. While thinking that he actually likes flowers but he can't touch them, since they will get frozen. Afterwards she turns back and says that she really do love the fragrance of the flowers in the same accent as he did before. And this really shocked him. And she leaves the place saying Kansai accent is really hard so she will try again later. And in that same accent he was thinking that he doesn't love her. While blushing. Afterwards he was thinking that he should somehow convey his feelings to her. While his colleague is closing the window thinking there is no need for an air conditioner. Afterwards he was sitting inside a igloo at the office. And she comes in and asks him on what happened. To which he says that he have to stay here and work for overtime. But she just says if there is anything there for her to help him with. But he just says that he can't keep her from leaving the work on time. Hearing that she leaves the place. Afterwards he was working on the computer. And someone puts a coffee can on his face. And it was her and she tells him to take it easy. And after giving that she leaves the place. And looking that he started blush and thinks it's really cool. Afterwards there was another blizzard. And he was thinking that she bought him a hot coffee, since she worried about him. While his another colleague thinking that he is making it cold. Afterwards his colleague was thinking that his senior is a descendant of a snow woman. And after looking at his junior, he asks him that he looks a little flustered. To which he says that he got a fever. After hearing that he tells him to go home. But then he says he have some business left to do so he can't leave. And then all of a sudden he says that he got something good to give him. Which is an handmade cooling scarf. And he straight up frozes the towel. Which shocked him. To which he says it won't wrap around his head. But he still insisted on making him wrap it on his head. But he still rejected it. Afterwards he takes more than half of his work. And he says that he will help him with his work, so he can hurry home and sleep. And then he was thinking that he took almost everything of his work. But then she comes and says that's really nice of him to do it. To which he says that's the least he can do as his senior. After a while he looks at him, and to his surprise there is a lot of snowman popping up. While he was thinking that she told him he is kind, after seeing that he smiles and thinks that his senior is surprisingly kind. Afterwards there was girl asking her on what does she thinks on Himuro. Hearing that both of them were silent. And Himuro heard it. And he thinks that he stumbled into something nice. And she was thinking while Himuro was getting frozen. But all of a sudden she says that they aren't that close, which made his ice scatter into pieces. And she goes on by saying that they don't even know each other's contact info. And she doesn't even know on what he does on his free time. And they don't have much to talk about. Which just shocked him, since everything she said is true. But then she says that she is somehow curious about him. And to get him know better. She says she wants to build a snowman with him. And she says that's all she feel about him. But that girl was thinking that's not she is trying to ask. Afterwards while going home she was thinking that he suddenly asked her about her contact info. And then he calls her. And says who is this Nyamuro? To which she says that's her cat's name. And also it's her cat as a profile picture. And then she sends him a message as a test. And she sends him a message. And after reading it he says that it feels like he is talking with her cat. To which she says that she can change the name if it's confusing for him. But he says this will be fine. Afterwards she says that she can send a recent picture of the cat if he wants. To which he says he wants it. And later that night, she was getting ready to send that picture. And she looks at him name in the friends list. And she started to think even though they have been together as a colleague, she somehow feel like they have gotten more closer than ever while blushing. Afterwards he receives a message. And he looks at it. Which was her and the cat taking a selfie together. And after seeing that everything got frozen, and so does his phone. Because of that he replied back after an hour.